Hello everyone, welcome to another Sims 4 video. Today's video is very important because if you know my channel, you know that I love to create Sims in The Sims 4, and there are many different ways to create Sims in this game. There's so many different styles, techniques, CC. Even when you just take CC out of the picture, there's so many things you can use in the game to make your Sims look different. But over the last few months, I've gotten several comments asking about what custom content I use, how I get my Sims to look the way they look. So instead of just doing a regular creator sim, I thought it would be fun to go back to basics and show you how I make my Sims, what I use, step by step. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your Sims glow up using a masculine sim and a feminine sim. I'm going to be giving you proportion tips when you're making your Sims faces, how to make them look more realistic even without the CC, some of my favorite presets, some of my favorite overlays and skin details, makeup tips, hair tips, clothing tips, and how to make your sim feel like an actual person as much as possible. And as I said before, everyone has their own CC style and what they prefer. I personally use a Maxis Mix style, more leaning towards Maxis Match more than Alpha, but I do have some more realistic elements. So if you're more of an Alpha player, or maybe you're strictly Maxis Match, or maybe you've never used custom content ever, I think this is still important to watch because you might learn some things and maybe I might convert you to this CC style. There are a lot of talented CC creators, and yeah, I think it's worth checking out if you're new to this. And in case you're brand new to The Sims 4, custom content is basically content that is created by Simmers just like us. They don't work for The Sims 4, they're not part of EA or Maxis, and they create their own content the way they want to, and they monetize it, and it's very popular, and there's loads of different types of CC styles. And by the way, all of the custom content that I use in this example video will be linked down below. I always try to share the CC I use because I know how it feels when you see a piece of CC you like and you're like, where is it? I can't find it anywhere, and it's like torture. So let's get into the beginning of this video. So I'm going to be using a feminine sim to begin with, purely because the majority of us make more feminine sims than masculine sims anyway, so I feel like this is the thing that will appeal to most of us. So if we click onto my sim, you will see if you don't use custom content regularly, I have default skin and default eyes, so the sim doesn't look necessarily how it would look without any CC, but aside from the defaults, there is no CC on this sim at all. But the first thing we're going to talk about before we touch anything else is the proportions of this sim's face. So you can see that this sim has an average eye shape, she has an average brow, her brows are a bit extreme actually, I will fix that later, but she has an average nose size, an average mouth size as well, so everything's pretty average about her proportions. And if you are new to making Sims and you want to make more realistic Sims, I feel like this is the best way to start, because obviously in real life everyone has different proportions. Some people have huge lips, some people have small lips, some people have bigger noses, smaller lips, bigger eyes, some people have smaller eyes, smaller noses, bigger lips, and things like that. But if you feel like you struggle with making more realistic Sims, I would recommend starting out with average proportions and then venturing out from there. So she does have an average face shape as well, like the average jaw and chin and things like that. Like if you turn her to the sides, she's got pretty average proportions as well. Let's say we want to make her nose a bit bigger. That would still be pretty realistic, I feel. Maybe you want to make her nose a bit smaller. I would only make her nose a little bit smaller because when you go too small, that's when your sim starts to look more like a cartoon. And if you want to make more realistic Sims, it's important to try and, live up to the realism. So aside from the CC, if you want to make more realistic, believable Sims, try and make their proportions realistic and make them fit on their face. And the way I try to gauge this is just looking at my Sim's face and thinking, would that face look real in real life? Now I know this is a game, but I just mean, would that chin look really unrealistic in real life? Is that nose a little bit too small for a real life person? That's just how I like to do it, but if you don't like to make realistic Sims, then this section doesn't really apply. So next we're going to move on to the genetics for feminine Sims, so that is things like eye presets, nose presets, any sort of facial presets, and body presets as well. So let's start with the eyebrows. So what I usually like to do with eyebrows is scroll right down, and my favorite eyebrows that I like to use are the Twisted Cat brows and the Sims 3 Melancholic brows. And these are a mixture of Maxis Match eyebrows and also Alpha kind of eyebrows down here as well. There are some individual strands, but they also work for Maxis Match if you want them to. to. And I will say I do have my favorites. These are my favorite Twisted Cat brows. I think they're amazing. If you just look at the individual strands but also the Maxis Match style, I just think the detail is amazing. And it's also a softer brow, which I like. It's more realistic and less severe. And then one of my favorite Sims 3 melancholic brows are these ones. These are very subtle. I feel like softer brows are definitely in right now. But up here, I also really like Obscurus brows. I will link these down below the set. This is by Obscurus, and these are more Maxis Match, but these are thicker brows. So if you're ever trying to have more of a thicker brow in your sim, I think these look amazing. These ones especially. I also have a mod that makes brows thicker and thinner. If you turn your sim to the side like this and just drag up, that makes them thicker, and then drag down, that makes them thinner. It doesn't really work on these brows, to be honest, because they're very thick. And yeah, I just think that having a good selection of brows to choose from, whether you want to make thicker brows, thinner brows, more average brows, is important. But the key for brows is just thinking again what fits on the Sim's face. I would feel like this Sim's face, since it's quite small, would probably have a slightly thinner brow. And I do like to go for a more slanted brow. I feel like it just looks better with the current style. And yes, of course, you don't have to go off of current trends and styles, but I feel like that's important to stay in touch with what looks good. Obviously anything can look good, but you know what I mean? I kind of do like to stay on top of what's trending right now. And yeah, it keeps me young. But yeah, this is just what I like to do. And next we're going to go on to the eye presets, which is also very important. Now, when it comes to eye presets, I feel like a lot of the base game ones are pretty good. I do like them. I also do use the No Lashes mod by CN. I think it's great. Makes your Sim's eyes look more realistic and less blocky. But there are some custom presets that I do love to use, including the Obscurus presets like these. And also the Evokser ones. I always say that one wrong, but I do really like it. I love the kind of diamond shaped eye. So I think we're gonna go with this one for this example. I think it's really nice, and with the overlays and things like that, all of the other CC, I think it looks amazing. And if you're looking for an eye preset with a monolid, this Evokser one also works really well. It looks great. And I also feel like the overlays that I use also help enhance that look. As with everything else, make sure you don't make the eyes too big. That makes it look too cartoony, or too small. I feel like too small isn't that big of a problem, because smaller eyes are actually more realistic, but I feel like this is probably the biggest you could go without pushing it. And then with nose. So again, I really like a lot of the nose presets that come with base game, but I do have a lot of nose presets that I like the look of, including the Northern Siberia Winds ones. These ones are more smaller noses. And then there's another set that they have, again, much smaller noses that you can size up, of course, to make them look more realistic. Then there's the stretch skeleton noses. They look great as well. And then I also love the Symbionts noses. Basically all of their nose presets are amazing. I will link their whole page down below. And I will say it one last time, for all of the genetics like your eyes, nose, mouth, face, anything on the face or body, make sure it's proportionate to make it look more realistic. That is just something that I have to emphasize, even to myself sometimes when I'm trying to make realistic Sims. And then for lip presets, some of my favorites are by Northern Siberia Winds. These ones are larger lip shapes, so if you want a smaller lip shape, I would stick with the base game ones. To be honest, the majority of custom lip presets are larger because that's kind of the beauty standard, but you can still make gorgeous Sims and very realistic looking Sims with smaller lips, and that's something I've been trying to do more recently, because I do always find myself making Sims with larger lips, and I feel like that's not always realistic. I mean, this one's actually Northern Siberia Winds, and you could make this one smaller as well. And yeah, other than that, I don't typically use any presets for the face that aren't in the base game. And since we're talking about genetics, there are some body presets that I like to use sometimes. My favorites being these four by Miko. I love the variance in body weight, size, all of that. Loads of different shapes and very realistic, I feel, and you can always adjust them if you want them to look different. I feel like body presets are a really easy way to make your Sims feel more realistic, because sometimes the body types in The Sims 4 are very simplistic, and I wish that we did have more choice. So yeah, that is the core of the genetics for me that I like to use in The Sims 4. All of the presets that I've shared with you so far are the ones that I use the most, and the ones that I think are so good that everyone should use them basically. So next we're going to be going into the skin details, because that's the next step that I usually like to do. And honestly, the difference in how my Sims looked 1 year ago compared to now is solely down to skin details. Well, not 100%, but I would say 90%. 90%, because if you find a really good skin overlay, it can change the way your sim's skin looks, the texture, the realism, just the highlight and everything like that. Finding the most flattering, realistic, and also just softening skin tone for me is just the best. And I'm not even going to waste your time, because although I do have a lot of amazing skin overlays in my collection, the best of the best, the absolute creme de la creme, are the ones by Northern Siberia ones. These two are brand new, so I've not really used them all that much. It is called the baby face, so it's very, you know, babyish, very young looking. But my two absolute favorites that I will never, ever, ever let go of are the blueberry skin. This is gorgeous. I like to use this swatch. There's so many different swatches, like this is more of a matte look. And then this is more of like a oh, that's a bit dark. And then this is more of like a dewy kind of look. You can see the highlight on the nose bridge and the forehead. And I never really go for this third layer here because I just feel like it doesn't look as good as the top two. But yeah, I recommend using this if you want more of a matte look for your skin. And the second layer down here if you want more of a dewy, slightly more realistic look. And then my second absolutely favorite skin overlay is the soft rose skin. And I would say this one is more matte than the blueberry skin, but I think it just looks amazing. There's so much detail. And then the soft rose skin B does have more of a monolid option. There's kind of a slight lid, which is a bit annoying, but this is more monolided. And yeah, it's basically the same sort of thing, the same skin tone options, which is great. I love the detail on this. And if we do go back to the blueberry skin and we take it off, this is what our sim looks like without. This is what our sim looks like with. It is literally night and day. So in terms of making your sim glow up fully, I would recommend finding a really good skin overlay. Even if it's not these two that I really love, find one that you really like as layer 1, because the more layers of skin details that you add to your sim, the more depth they have and the more realistic they feel. But with that being said, I don't like to add too many layers because I feel like sometimes it makes it look too cluttered, especially if you're trying to go for a more Maxis match look. But quickly going back to layer 1, I think we're going to go with the blueberry skin for this example. So I feel like what's the closest to the original skin tone, so we'll go for this one here. And another mod that I'm going to be linking down below if you did not already have it is this layering mod, which basically layers the skin details in your game. So this is the first layer, the forehead crease, and then you scroll down and we have the freckles layer, the dimple layer, we have another one down here, and it basically makes it so that you get less confused when you're layering up your CC. So maybe you want to add dimples and then you want to add these dimples. It will only let you add one because it's in the same layer. So you know whether you can use this baby hair with, you know, this highlighter, having the layer system makes it easier to know. Very bad example, but hopefully you know what I mean. And I would just recommend downloading it because it's easier to see how it works in your game than explaining it. But yes, for the first layer, I usually like to do the overlays. The overlays are usually at the top of the skin details section. Next, what I like to do is go to eyelashes. Now, I don't always do my eyelashes here because I do have other eyelashes that I use in the accessory section, but if you just want to have eyelashes applied to your sim's skin details so you don't have to change them with every outfit, you can use them down here. I like to use the Kajiko ones, and for feminine sims I usually like to go for the first ones here, and I like to go for a softer look like this at the bottom, or if you want more of a thicker lash, go at the top for the full black swatches here. But as I said, I'm going to be using lashes at another stage in the video, so we're not going to use this. Instead, we are going to use the Filtrum overlay by Obscurus. This just adds so much depth to the lip area, and there are so many different options. It basically can add like a Cupid's bow effect or a lip line, and it makes it feel more realistic in depth, or adds depth is what I mean. I think I might go with this one actually because I do like how it kind of extends the lip a little bit. Next, we're going down to a later layer, and I do like to add freckles and moles and beauty spots and things like that for extra detail. Like here it barely looks like she has freckles, but it almost feels like her skin has more texture, which I like, so I like to add that occasionally. And then one of my favorite tools in skin details for extra depth, contouring, highlighting, things like that is the OK-Ru Misk Details. Now this is going to be also linked down below because this is a must-have if you're making any type of sim in CAS. And there are so many different things. There's lip darkening, we've got some contouring here, and there's different opacity levels, which I love as well. One of my favorite things is is the nose contouring here, which I'm going to use on this sim. And then there's some eye bags or some aging details as well. So there's so many different options that you can choose from for your sim depending on who they are. And what's great is that this is basically in every layer in the skin detail section, so you can find it anywhere you want. And sometimes another thing I like to do is use nose masks by Obscurus. Now this isn't changed how the whole nose looks, but it comes in 3 parts. So there's the nostril mask, which changes the look of the nostrils. There's different severities to this, like this. Then there is the nose bridge Obscurus mask, which I don't really use that much, but sometimes it's good for more masculine sims, I feel. And then we have the nose tip mask, which is very handy if you want to change how a preset looks. Especially if it's like a base game one, it can just change how it looks slightly. So that is the essence of what I like to do in skin details. I like to have a layering system, find a really good overlay and add small little details to add extra depth. And yeah, I think her sim already looks very different to how she looked before, and I think she looks a lot better. Now, one thing I like to do sometimes is just go back and adjust the sim's face shape and things like that to my liking, because although the overlay doesn't necessarily change how your sim's face actually is, like by dimension, it changes how the lighting hits it and how it makes it look. So I feel like sometimes you want to make little adjustments. So the next thing that I like to do to make my sims look more realistic is add little tweaks before we move on to the bigger details again. And these little tweaks are usually tweaking the brows if I want to, although I really like the brows and we already covered the brows and things like that. But I also love to add eye contacts. Now, my default eyes are the Chroma eyes by Golly Haha, and these are great if you don't really care that much about eyes, just to change the base game ones. I think they look a lot better than the vanilla eyes in The Sims 4. But I grew to really love eye contacts, which is in the face paint category in the makeup section. And the ones that I like to use are these ones by Northern Siberia ones, the eyes number 27. I've been waiting for these eyes to become default, but I don't think they are, so I just use them in the face paint category. And yeah, they have amazing brown selection, green selection, blues, grays. They do have like an amber color. They don't have the best hazel selection. I feel like this is closest you can get. Or if you want to go for like a greeny hazel, but I feel like there's not the most ideal hazel. But luckily, this sim's eyes are brown, so we're going to go with the dark brown like this. I think this looks amazing. And then my other favorite eye contacts are the number 13 eyes by Obscurus. I've gotten many comments about what these eyes are. These are them down here. I'll link them down below. And these eyes have a much larger variation in the color. And there are hazel eyes in this contact, so there's so many hazel options. Those eyes are less realistic, so I do like to go with these usually, but the other ones are really cute as well. And then I also like to add lashes in the glasses section because there are some really cute ones that are in the skin details. Like these Obscurus ones, these ones are so cute. I love how they're kind of curled. And then these kind of spider lashes, more faint, subtle lashes, and then we've got thicker, more heavy ones. Obscurus makes amazing CC, I just love them, but I think we're gonna go with the lashes number 1. I like the kind of curled look, I think, like this. So now what I like to do is go on to hair. So hair is very important. Now, obviously when it comes to hair, you can't really manipulate the hair other than the color. So hair, you can do whatever you want, honestly. I have made a few videos in the past linking hair hauls and things like that. So I've shared many of my favorite CC hairs in the past that you can check out, and they are by amazing creators. And we're going to use this new Maggie hair that I actually got on my recent CC haul. I love the haul that we did the other day. And yeah, I think this looks really good. I love the volume. I think it's very free and nice. I love the length as well. So now what I like to do is either go on to makeup. So I feel like makeup is very particular to your style in the sim and things like that. And it's also usually easier once you've determined their style of clothing. So when it comes to determining the style of clothes that you want your sim to have, I feel like that honestly depends on you. But there are many CC creators that I have for several different styles, specifically for feminine sims. When it comes to masculine sims, I have much less. And once again, I have made a video on my favorite CC creators of all time. I have like top 25, but I will list some of them here for you. So some of my favorites are Centate. They have some amazing sophisticated things. Then we have A. Harris Brittany, loads of preppy cute collections. Also some some alternative styles as well. Green Llamas is also amazing. Aretha is great for both makeup, hair, and clothes. And Clumsy Alien is great for that kind of earthy, witchy, kind of hippie vibe. And then Solastar is good for the basics, but also more of like a unique style, also for older Sims as well, I feel. And then Serenity has loads of nightwear, loads of party outfits as well. Also some casual things as well. They have a lot of collections. They're part of my video as well. I feel like we're maybe going to go for a more simple, chill style for this sim. And similar to the hair, just try and figure out what colors work with your Sim's skin tone, their hair, and things like that. I think I like this baby blue on her. I think it's really nice and simple. And I think for the bottoms, I'm going to go with this jean mini skirt with the heart belt from Aretha. And then for shoes, I have to specifically mention one creator. There are some shoes that I have by Sente, Aretha, things like that. But if you need shoes, if you feel like you don't have enough shoe CC, which I have felt for many years until like a few months ago, look up Just Sims. In fact, I'll link their page down below. Download everything they have because all of their shoes, they have loads of masculine and feminine shoes. Like, look how many shoes I have now. I'm still scrolling. But for this outfit, I do like the idea of going for a really nice sandal, maybe like this. I feel like it's very summery, like maybe she lives in a hot place. Very cute. And then we're going to go on to makeup, which is very important again to how her face looks, obviously. When I first start playing The Sims and start playing The Sims 2, The Sims 3, The Sims 4, for many years, I never really cared about the makeup. Mainly because the options weren't that great, so I never really thought anything of it. But it's only been in the last year that I have really fallen in love with giving my Sims loads of makeup whenever I get the chance. And that's because I found the best CC and I found the best way to apply it. But my favorite eye makeup comes from Cryptic Sim. I must say the eyeshadows are amazing. Basically download, same as Just Sims, download all of Cryptic Sim's palettes. Unless my Sim's specifically really into makeup or they have a really bold fashion sense, I like to go for a more subtle makeup. So for this example, we are going to use the default palette by Cryptic Sim and maybe a slightly darker shadow. But going on to eyeliner, for this sim, I will be going on to a more subtle liner, like this one by Gopal's Me. My favorite eyeliners are this one that I just used, the CC34 by Gopal's Me, which I will link down below. Make sure to use the second swatch, by the way, because that's more of like a true black color. I also like the liner CC37 by Gopal's Me, more of a like extreme liner. Another one of my favorites is part of the Euphoria collection by Chewy Butterfly. It's more of a high eyeliner, it's more of like a wing. And then a more subtle artsy eyeliner that I haven't really used in a while is this one by Obscurus, the eyeliner number 16. And for an even softer one, I like this one, the number 13 by Obscurus. Those are like my top 5 eyeliners that I like to use. And then for blush, I do have a lot of blush options here, a lot by Northern Siberia Winds. I have one by Chewy Butterfly, which I've been using a lot recently. And then I like this one by Kindle Spice. And then we had this one in our haul as well that I forgot to check out. I've not checked this one out yet, but it looks really good. I like it on the cheekbones. And when there's bold colors, I always like to turn down the opacity because obviously you don't want to be looking like a clown, you want to be looking good. So I feel like this is what I would call more of a pink blush, even though it's very subtle. Like when it's like this, it's just too much. So if you're looking for blush, I would check out Cryptic Sim, Obscurus, and Kindle Spice. And then for lips, my favorite lips are by Northern Siberia Winds, 100%. I love the Gloss collection, which I will link down below. And then I also, these ones are my go-to for probably like 6 months. They are the number 15, I think. Yeah, the number 15. Now I had to click off them to see the number. And these are very glossy, simple. They don't really change the lip shape that much, which is nice. Whereas these ones are more heavy duty, but they do look great. This is one that I've been obsessed with. It is more heavy glam and full glam, but I do like it. Even if you turn the opacity down, it's very subtle. Turn the opacity up. I try to kind of replicate a skin color, like a lip color. And that is her makeup, guys. I think she looks amazing. Like, I can't wait to see the before and after. And then we'll quickly go to nails. So my favorite nails are by Aretha. They are CC. I do also love the spa day nails and obviously the base game ones as well. But if you're looking for some new, fun, fresh CC nails, go to Aretha because they have these chip nails, which are great for more edgy Sims or just Sims that don't have the time to top up their nail polish. And then we have these Aretha French tip nails, which are really cute. They have loads of cute designs on them, loads of different colors, pink, red, purple, even some cute black ones. I like that actually. We're gonna go with that. And yeah, there are some accessories, there's tattoos and things like that as well. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't used tattoos on my Sims in a very long time. So yeah, there's a lot of tattoos that I have. You can kind of have a look at them. I have some by Herbalia. There's some cute ones by Tio Sims. I actually like the way that this one looks. And then if you're looking for even more realism, say your Sim is a little bit more developed than others, there are these Northern Siberia Winds masks for the chest area, and you can find them on their page. They're great if you want to add more realism, just some extra depth if they're wearing like a low-cut dress. But yeah, that is how our feminine Sim looks from start to end. I think she looks amazing. I will now show you before and after of how she looked before, how she looked after, and even though it looks like we used a lot of CC, we did use a lot of CC, it's not actually that hard to find and implement this CC into your game, and it's honestly become second nature to me because I love it so much. It changes my game and how everything feels. And the best part about this CC style is that it does make it look very different, but if you put my Sim next to a Sim in the vanilla game, she won't look out of touch because for the most part she's still Max's match and she still fits the aesthetic of the game, but she has a lot of detail and that's what I like.